It's that time, ladies and gentlemen. It is the time that we talk about Captain America Civil War. Captain fucking America Civil War. I'm sorry, it's still giving me chills. Honestly, it is. It is still giving me. Captain America Civil War, such a great movie, honestly, in my opinion. It was really well done. Those Russo brothers know what they're doing. They should let them direct some other movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But yeah, Captain America: Civil War, obviously the third sequel in the line of Captain America movies. It follows up from the events of Winter Soldier. You've got, Bucky Barnes. The movie actually opens up. We got the Winter Soldier being held in his, ice chamber, about to be sent on a mission. And, we get to see him go on the mission or whatever. And then, boom, it just jumps straight to, Lagos and Scarlet Witch and Captain America and Falcon and Black Widow are all on a mission. And what this whole movie really centers around is the relation that these, what they keep calling them in the movie is enhanced beings. The relation that these enhanced beings have, in accord to, their actions and how it's affecting the world and all the people that are really pissed off at all the damage that they've been causing. Because if you look at it, like, even in the movie, it shows you kind of like on like a side-by-side view. It's just like, from New York to Sokovia to, all the stuff that they've been doing. It's just like, wow. And we were complaining about Batman versus Superman or Man of Steel, So yeah, so with that comes, these accords, which is just like, hey, all the countries in the world pretty much think y'all need to be put in your place. And that's literally it, and that's what I like about this movie is that this movie, it flows very nicely. It flows very nicely because that's pretty much how the sides of this movie get picked out. There's the side of the Avengers that are just like, okay, we're gonna, be taken accountable for our actions. We're gonna sign this accord. And then you have the other side that's just like, rebel. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, no, it's my choice to, decide. And that's pretty much where that's where the splitting up happens, but the actual conflict comes from the villain. And this is a non-spoiler review, so I'm not really going to give you that much on the villain, but it involves the Winter Soldier, who Bucky Barnes hasn't even been active as the Winter Soldier since the events of Captain America Winter Soldier. So, with that being said, all this just kickstarts off this whole just, oh, well, Steve and Bucky were best friends, but, oh, so were Steve and Tony and, the Avengers, and we all need to be part of the team, and pretty, honestly, this movie low-key felt like a bromance breakup movie. Like when you like move somewhere or you go somewhere new and you like get new friends, but then like the friends from where you from get jealous and be like, oh man, you done changed, fam. You done changed up on us, fam. Like, that's kind of what this movie feels like. Because like I said, outside of the, the whole like signing of the Accords thing, it really is just like this whole like bromanced triangle between Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Iron Man, Tony Stark. And to be perfectly honest, like, I feel for him, kinda. And it's just like, people are just like, oh, Steve and Tony were such good friends. I'm just like, It's like the biggest relation that they have really outside of being, members of the Avengers. And, they even make a comment on it in the movie. It's just that, oh, that's crazy. You knew my father, blah, 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 blah. He made you that shield, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty much talking about how just like, oh, my father's legacy made you what you are, and you're still here working with me. Like, I thought that was kind of funny. Which is also another thing about this movie. The dialogue is really, really good. Like, I know Marvel kind of has their things for quips and, little one-liners and, just little weird stuff that I'm pretty sure people just throw in there. But as far as actual dialogue goes, this movie is really good. All of the conversations between like different, opposing sides, they're good. Their stances are solid. Their arguments are solid. and it just makes for when the action happens, it makes it that much more like enjoyable in a way. It makes it that much more enjoyable because you just know the context of everything that's happened so far in just a clear way, and so you understand every perspective just so well, to the point where even when certain spoilers or twists pop up in the movie from certain characters, you're just like, oh well, that's shit, that's kind of understandable. like okay, that's real, fam. So yeah, dialogue was great. Characters were awesome. I felt like Captain America really was his Captain America-eist in this movie. Yeah, that's a thing. Let's make that a thing. Hashtag Captain America-eist. Yeah, he was really, just definitely the strong-willed soldier who, not afraid to make the hard call, which he does a lot in this movie. Steve Rogers is just like, you can almost see it in every scene, like with each decision he makes, it kind of just like digs him deeper into this hole, but he's just like, hey man, I gotta hang on to my resolve. I have to, Falcon was really cool. Anthony Mackie as Falcon really, he got his screen time. He did his thing in the last Captain America, and even in Ant-Man, he was pretty cool. But in this, I think he was like the most. He was just like, hey man, I'm Falcon. I'm here to support you. But bruh, like even though there were more black characters in him, I feel like he was still like that token black character that's just like, come on, fam. Like, man, that shit is whack. But Anthony Mackie was really good. He was very loyal. He played loyal really well. Just that, it's like, hey man, I'm on your side, but you're being crazy, right? And he toughed it out. He toughed it out with everybody, and he even got along with Paul Rudd's friggin' Ant-Man, and Ant-Man was awesome in this. To be perfectly honest, I thought like a lot of the corny, not really corny because a lot of stuff was funny, but like a lot of the quippy stuff was gonna either come from Tony Stark or Spider-Man. I thought a lot of that stuff was gonna come from a couple of those two, but it's Paul Rudd. And that's why every time that guy's on screen, he's just saying something funny or just being entertaining. He's just like, wow, it's Captain America. Been shaking your hand for a long time, man. It's like, yeah. But, so yeah, he was really awesome. Let's see who else. Oh, of course, Chadwick freaking Boseman. Is it Boseman or Bossman? Chadwick, Black Panther. Wakanda! Black Panther in this movie is just so... And the thing about it is, like, I always get nervous about big movies with big casts like this. It's like, even when they were, they had War Machine in this, I'm just like, dude, well, that's kind of obscure. Like, even though he's been in, freaking Iron Man, all the Iron Man movies, like, that's real pretty obscure. And even the way they worked him in there is just like, well, he's still part of the Avengers. He's been government sanctioned for a while. And so it's like him and Vision are kind of like the voices of reason in this whole thing. It's like the whole time the audience knows what the better choice kind of is. Even though you're perfectly free to choose your side, the audience knows what the better choice is. But it's just like, yeah, kind of like War Machine and Paul Bettany's Vision. Even Scarlett Johansson to an extent. It's just like, even Black Widow is just like, hey man, you know this is the right thing to do, fam. Like Tony Stark is kind of just like overtaken with, kind of like grief or guilt from, and which is rightfully placed, because, especially from the events of the last Ultron movie, the last Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, he was the cause of that. He did that. So that's really, it's well placed. So, it makes sense when he's, just all flustered and, just really adamant about everything. But Chadwick, Black Panther, boy. And it's like, you get to see him briefly. Like, and I only say this because between the time you first are introduced to the character of T'Challa and you see him as Black Panther, it's very, very brief, very, very brief time frame. I'm not going to really talk about, what goes on between then, because, that's kind of spoiler information. But pretty much something happens. Bucky gets blamed. Bucky is involved with it. He gets blamed for it, and that becomes the cause of T'Challa becoming the Black Panther. And he just has it out for Bucky. He's got it out for this dude, and that's why even in the trailers you see, man, just like every time you see Black Panther, you see him swinging on Bucky Barnes. So that definitely is a big part of this movie. And Black Panther don't play Black Panther don't play no games in this movie either. It's just like how I was talking earlier about, you know, the quips and the funny stuff, like haha, like hey, you know, banter, one-liners. Black Panther's like nah, like nah. I'm here to murk fools up. Like I'm here to catch some bodies. Which he even makes a point in the movie. He's just talking to Steve Rogers and Falcon. He's just talking to him. He's just like, he's pretty much just saying, it's like, you can't keep him away from me forever, dog. He's just like, I'm a catch him at some point, fam. Which is just awesome because it really shows like that's that distinguish. Yeah, that's their way of distinguishing Black Panther from the rest of the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? He's way more serious. He's, you know, from Wakanda. Very, you know, very secretive, very proud, very, you know, protective people, and they play no games. And that is shown very well through Mr. Chadwick Boseman, whatever. Very good job, sir. So yeah. Furthermore, so we'll talk about Black Panther, and Black Panther's character has a lot to do with the story overall. The story arcs, or however, that go along in this movie are really well strategized. Like they coincide with each other very perfectly, and that's really hard to do with such a large cast, and with kind of just, it really did feel like this movie was doing a lot, but it worked well. Like it worked within itself very well. From, you know, the point where we find out, you know, why, you know, stuff is happening with, you know, the Winter Soldier and why that's even affecting the Avengers, to the stuff that's going on with the Avengers themselves, and, you know, why that causes a whole, you know, cavalcade of mishap. But yeah, just, you know, the whole story is the way they work around themselves. It's really good. Complaints that I have? Well, it's a Marvel movie. So, as always, in my opinion, I feel like Marvel movies don't really do that good of a job with their villains. Marvel villains are usually really, you know, one note, pretty one-dimensional, like an Iron Man or the first Captain America, or like even in Guardians of the Galaxy, which I found to be like one of the best Marvel movies to come out so far. It's just like they're just really like, oh, here's this dude that's, you know, drunk on power or bent on getting some power, and they've got some vendetta against one or all of, you know what I'm saying, one or all of the members or cast of heroes, you know, just, but I will give it to this movie's villain, was it Baron Zemo? He was very intimidating at times, and I think a lot of that just had to do with the fact that he just looked like a creep. Like he looked like one of those dudes, like if you saw him on the street corner, he'd be like, somebody check him. He probably got a bomb and a book of Russian words. Like, like, you know, like he just did not look very friendly at all. Which I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, also his motives were on point. Only things I had the really issue with was just you don't really know much about him. Like, there's even a point of exposition in the movie that gives you a little more about him, but it just really doesn't feel like he should have been able to do the things he was doing and maneuvering in such a way. Like, even, you know, through like years of, because I don't know how much time this, you know, takes after the events of Age of Ultron, but he's just and he's just like, yeah, since then it's just like, you know, fucking stuff up, and, you know, the Avengers and whatnot, and I just don't feel like, you know, a person, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. It just doesn't feel like a person just with a vendetta like that, even with, you know, high training and blah, 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 should be able to do all that he did, you know, just like sneak into like a shield interrogation or whatever, and just, I don't know. Just me being nitpicky, I had to find something bad talk about, and that was pretty much it. Just the villains. I thought that that Grillo, I cannot remember his name. The dude from the Winter Soldier who got like burned up and stuff, like at the end when he died. Like I thought he was gonna be the main villain, because when they announced that Crossbones was gonna be in the movie, I was like, oh, cool. Like that's gonna like he's probably gonna play a big part, and he did for like 15 minutes while they was in Sokovia, which I guess not Sokovia. Well, they were in Lagos, but I guess in a way he did play a bigger part than what was, thought, because, his actions triggered other stuff, but that'll all get deeper in the spoiler review. So yeah, Captain America Civil War, in my opinion, just God, if I could marry that movie. Yeah. Oh, and also, yeah, I want to talk to you guys about Spider-Man, but I feel like even though the movie's kind of been out now for a little while, there are some people who have obviously not seen it, and even though it's common knowledge at this point that Spider-Man is in the movie, not a whole lot has been revealed or shown through trailers. It's just like the little like shield steel part, and a little like, oh, you got a metal arm, cool, dude. But pretty much like nothing else is really known about Spider-Man. So I'm not gonna say much about him until the spoilers video. But he is amazing. No pun intended. But he's amazing. He's spectacular. He's not quite the ultimate. Not quite ultimate. His character, I guess, the way they have him set up is not. He's a young Peter Parker. He's very young. But yeah, he's still awesome. He's amazing. So yeah, guys, that is my review of Captain America Civil War. Hope you guys like it. Spoiler review will be up soon. So if you guys like this one and you want to come back and check out the next one, you're more than welcome to. If you want to send me questions or, opinions on anything like that, or stuff that you want to hear talked about, feel free to, send it to me in my inbox, comment, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's all love here. All love, peace, good vibes, all that good stuff. Yeah, also, tell me which team you are, Team Cap or Team Iron Man. I'm letting you guys know right now, I am Team Iron Man. What do you think? Spider-Man, dude. Duh. Like, blah. Of course I'm Team Iron Man. Team Iron Man all the way. Even though Tony Stark, like, his stance was cool, and I was like, okay, I understand you want to take, president and, take accountability for your actions. Kind of towards the end of the movie, it did kind of feel like he was just whatever. Spoilers. But yeah, I'm out of here for now, you guys. Take care.